Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're diving into the Livingston mayoral race this week. Residents are heading to the polls soon, and we want to know, does Mayor Moran deserve a second term?
Well, he certainly had a convincing win last time around.
72% of the vote.
Mm,
That's huge.
hmm
So to get a kiss of his track record, we, of course, did our homework.
Of course.
We dug deep into his State of the City address from December of last year. What were your first impressions?
Well, it definitely wasn't just a dry recounting of accomplishments.
How
It was
about that?
actually quite engaging. Moran framed the entire address like a story, Livingston's story.
Interesting.
He emphasized themes of transparency, community engagement, and building a strong foundation for the future. And, he didn't just talk the talk. He backed it up with some very concrete examples.
So less mayor giving a speech, more mayor sharing a vision. I like it.
Exactly.
One thing that stuck out to me was his emphasis on community events, concerts in the park, youth sports, even a barbecue with the police department.
Right.
Sounds like he understands the importance of bringing people together.
Absolutely. And, that ties directly into his focus on building trust, especially with the police. He talked about implementing new radar technology to address those speeding complaints that residents have, a revamped police gym funded by a wellness grant, even appointing Livingston's first ever compliance officer.
Interesting.
Yeah, this officer has been working directly with folks on things like loose animals and other quality of life issues.
Stray animals might seem like a small thing, but it's also these everyday issues that make residents feel heard. Like, shows that he's paying attention to the things that directly impact their lives.
Exactly, exactly. And that attention to detail, it carries over into his long-term planning as well. For example, Moran spoke about the city's first general plan update in decades
Wow.
and a new tax sharing agreement with Merced County, both designed to, strategically manage future growth.
So he's playing the long game, thinking beyond just quick fixes. Now, what about the city's finances? Any major projects in the works?
One of the highlights was definitely the announcement of a new recreation center. He acknowledged that, yes, construction costs are a concern right now, but assured residents they're actively pursuing grant funding to help with that. He also emphasized his commitment to upgrading Livingston's water infrastructure. He even managed to secure a $1 million grant for a centralized water treatment plant and storage tank.
Okay, $1 million, that's nothing to sneeze at. Must have some good connections up in Sacramento.
It appears so. And he stressed how crucial it is to plan for future water conservation, especially with all the new state legislation coming down the pipeline.
Makes sense.
And on that note of planning for the future, Moran also talked about wanting to increase staffing at the fire station, to keep pace with the city's growth.
Smart move. Nothing says we're prepared like having enough firefighters when you need them. Sounds like Mayor Moran has been a busy guy. What else jumped out at you from the address?
Well, he dedicated a significant portion to Livingston's partnership with Zapatillo, their sister city in Jalisco, Mexico.
Oh, yeah. I was curious about that.
Yeah, and he's really pushing this relationship as a way to, boost economic development, share best practices on things like public safety and sustainability, and promote cultural exchange.
Wow, a mayor with a global vision that's impressive. This is already shaping up to be a very different picture of a typical State of the City address.
Yeah.
It's not just about potholes and budgets, but about vision, long-term planning, and a genuine commitment to the people of Livingston.
It definitely is. One small detail that struck me, though, was when he mentioned getting messages from residents at all hours. Emails, texts, calls, about city issues.
Wow.
Speaks to his accessibility and dedication, wouldn't you say?
A mayor who answers emails at 5 a.m. That's dedication. Anything in the address particularly resonate with you?
It was actually his closing message that I found particularly impactful.
Okay.
He emphasized the importance of community involvement. He reminded people that they're a part of Livingston's success story.
Love that it takes a village mentality. You can build all the parks and fire stations you want, but real progress needs engaged citizens.
Absolutely. And Moran clearly understands that. Throughout his term, he's hosted these community forums and meet and greets, really fostering an environment where people feel heard and valued.
So it's not just about what he's accomplished, but how he's done it. Transparency, community engagement, that genuine desire to listen to the people he represents. Those are qualities you don't always find in an elected official.
Very true. And it shows in the positive feedback he's received from residents, not just during this address, but throughout his time in office.
It's one thing to talk a big game, but based on what we're seeing, Mayor Moran seems to be walking the walk.
Hard to argue with the progress he's made. He's tackled some important issues, secured funding for vital projects, and fostered a strong sense of community. He even has a plan for those stray animals.
Don't underestimate the power of a good animal control strategy. But on a serious note, he's taken on some complex challenges, from water conservation to police reform.
And let's not forget his commitment to thinking ahead, like that new general plan and the tax sharing agreement with the county. Those are crucial for handling Livingston's future growth responsibly.
Exactly. He's not just passing the buck down the line, he's building a more sustainable and prosperous future for Livingston.
He's playing chess while others are playing checkers, which is refreshing in local politics.
Absolutely. He's shown he can balance the needs of today with a vision for tomorrow, and he's doing it all while fostering a strong sense of community and prioritizing the well-being of his constituents.
Quite a feat, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. From what we've gleaned from this State of the City address, it seems like the people of Livingston are reaping the benefits of his leadership.
His approval rating definitely reflects that.
Yeah, 72% doesn't lie. But we'll dig into that a bit later. First, let's take a closer look at some of his key accomplishments.
Sounds like a plan. Let's start with his efforts to improve public safety. His approach to policing seems particularly noteworthy, especially those innovative programs he's implemented.
For sure. Like that new radar technology he mentioned. How exactly does that work, and what kind of impact has it had on speeding in Livingston?
Those are excellent questions, and they highlight his data-driven approach to governing. Instead of just relying on anecdotes, he's using technology to collect hard data and measure the effectiveness of his policies.
It's about accountability and transparency, showing he's serious about addressing concerns, even ones that seem small, like speeding in neighborhoods.
Precisely. And that focus on the everyday concerns of residents is a recurring theme throughout his address.
It's all about those little things. They're what really impact people's lives, and they can make or break a city.
Absolutely. It's about building a city that's not just functional but livable, a city where residents feel safe, heard, and valued.
And from what we've gathered so far, Mayor Moran seems well on his way to achieving that goal.
Indeed. His first term has been marked by significant progress and a clear dedication to serving the people of Livingston.
As we delve deeper into his record, I'm sure we'll find even more evidence of his leadership and unwavering dedication to Livingston. What do you say we take a look at his background and see how that ties into his governing style?
Let's do it. I think you'll find it quite interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting when you look at his background. Moran came to the U.S. when he was just 12 years old.
Wow.
Worked his way through college, has experience in everything from, manufacturing to education.
Really?
Yeah. This is someone who understands hard work and, diverse perspectives firsthand.
It definitely tracks with his hands-on style. This isn't a mayor who's content to just sit behind a desk all day.
No, not at all.
He's out there in the community, listening to people, going to events, really getting involved.
And you see that reflected in some of the tangible improvements across different city departments. Like, take the major overhaul of animal control, for instance.
Okay.
They've issued, 5 times the number of spay and neuter vouchers compared to the previous administration.
Oh.
Plus, they've implemented that mounted unit, which is,
Yeah, the mounted unit.
a pretty unique approach.
It's not every day you see police officers on horseback.
It's definitely distinctive, but it also, I think, shows his understanding of community policing.
Right.
Having officers on horseback, it just makes them more approachable, especially in parks and, at events and things.
Makes them seem more like a part of the community rather than just like an external force.
Exactly. And his focus on public safety goes beyond just traditional policing, too.
Okay.
He spearheaded the update of the city's emergency preparedness plan, which, get this, hadn't been touched in over a decade.
Oh, wow.
That kind of proactive approach to disaster preparedness, it's crucial.
Yeah, it's one of those things you don't really think about until you need it, and then it's too late.
Exactly.
Like having a fire extinguisher. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Speaking of fire safety, it's smart that he's prioritizing increasing staffing at the fire station and looking into, additional fire prevention measures as the city grows.
Absolutely. It's all about anticipating future needs, not just, reacting to existing problems. That seems to be like a recurring theme with Mayor Moran. He's thinking long term, which is just so refreshing in the often, very short-sighted world of politics.
It's like he's thinking 10 steps ahead while everyone else is focused on the next move.
Yeah.
And that long-term vision, it's evident in his focus on infrastructure.
Yeah.
Particularly when it comes to water.
Yeah.
Securing that $1 million grant for the water treatment plant was a huge win.
Absolutely, but it's not just about the money. It's that he recognizes that California is facing some serious water challenges.
Right.
and that Livingston needs to be prepared.
Right. It's one thing to secure funding, but it's another to actually have a plan for how to use it effectively.
And he seems to have a solid plan. He's advocating for water conservation measures, and he's working on, a long-range plan to ensure that the city has a sustainable water supply for years to come. So, he's being proactive, not reactive, which requires a deep understanding of the issues and a willingness to, make difficult decisions.
It's about more than just putting a Band-Aid on a problem. It's about finding lasting solutions. And speaking of finding solutions, let's circle back to his work on that sister city relationship with Zapateo.
Yeah.
That whole initiative is fascinating.
It really is. He's framed it as a way to, boost economic development, share knowledge and resources, and build cultural bridges. It's a fantastic example of diplomacy in action,
Right.
but, on a local level.
It's like citizen diplomacy.
Yeah.
Livingston gets to learn from Zapateo's experiences
Yeah.
and vice versa.
Right.
Plus, it opens up opportunities for cultural exchange and economic development.
It's a win-win situation, and it speaks to his ability to kind of think globally while acting locally. He recognizes that Livingston doesn't exist in a bubble. They're part of a larger world, and there's a lot to gain from, collaboration and partnership.
It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected and that we can achieve more when we work together.
This theme of collaboration, it seems to run through a lot of what Mayor Moran does.
It's definitely a recurring theme, from his work with the city council to his interactions with residents. He consistently emphasizes teamwork, collaboration, a shared vision for the future.
It's not about one person dictating terms, but about working together to kind of find the best path forward.
Precisely. And that's what makes his leadership style so effective, I think, and inspiring.
Yeah.
He understands that real progress requires buy-in from everyone involved.
It's about building consensus, not just issuing orders. And that seems to be a real hallmark of Mayor Moran's approach. It's not about ego, it's about getting things done for the people of Livingston. Absolutely, and he's willing to acknowledge that the city still faces challenges. Remember his comments about, needing a new fire station and additional park facilities.
Right.
He's not claiming Livingston is some kind of utopia.
Right.
He's just recognizing there's always more to do.
And he's not shying away from those challenges either.
Yeah.
He's inviting residents to be part of the solution.
Mm.
I loved his closing remark about how, each of us holds a piece of Livingston's success. That's a powerful message about community ownership and responsibility.
It really is. It's not him saying, I'm the mayor, I'll handle everything. It's we're all in this together.
Right.
Let's build the Livingston we want to see.
And that message is clearly resonating with the people of Livingston.
His 72% approval rating speaks volumes.
It really does. So after unpacking his State of the City address, exploring his accomplishments, and analyzing his leadership style, what's the verdict? Does Mayor Moran deserve a second term?
Based on everything we've discussed, it's clear that Mayor Moran has been an effective and transformative leader for Livingston. He's tackled difficult issues head-on, made significant progress, and fostered a strong sense of community. He's even found a way to address those stray animals.
He's got a plan for everything. But seriously, he's achieved a lot in a relatively short time.
He has, and perhaps most importantly, he's laid the groundwork for continued progress in the years to come. He's built a solid foundation for Livingston's future.
So if you're a Livingston resident listening to this, you've got a lot to consider as you head to the polls. For everyone else, think about the kind of leadership your community needs. A leader who listens, acts, and builds for tomorrow.
Food for thought. It seems we've reached the end of our deep dive into Mayor Moran's track record.
We have. But remember, the quest for knowledge never ends. Keep asking those questions, keep exploring, and keep diving deep. Until next time, this has been The Deep Dive.